Hello, everyone. I'm Professor Robert Alexander, and this is Human Sexuality. Today, we are going to talk about gender and sexuality. This is my first lecture. This is kind of an introduction to the Human Sexuality course. So whenever you see definitions and I'm talking too fast, feel free to stop the video and Google the definition so you can get a clearer understanding of what I'm talking about. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. One of the first terms, all of these terms that I'm going to be discussing today, you're going to have a full understanding by the end of this quarter. And these are terms that are going to be used constantly, so please take note. Sex is biological characteristics that we are born with, whether it's male or female. We're going to talk about variations of sex in terms of intersex. Gender, this is a social construct. This is socially constructed since birth. These are learned attitudes and behaviors that characterize what it means to be male or female. Again, we are programmed into going into these categories of male or female. Whenever I use the term social construct, that means it was developed by people. That understanding, the term male or female, this was developed by people. Okay, well, we know that people identify in different categories, right? There is no binary. There is no black and white. There are several areas of shaded gray. So gender identity, and what this is the perception of either being masculine or feminine. Gender identity. This is a term that you're going to hear throughout the quarter. What are gender roles? Gender roles are behaviors, expectations, attitudes, feelings, characteristics that society expects from females and males. What are gender stereotypes? Gender stereotypes are an attitude or behavior that discriminates against one's sex. And I thought this was funny. I thought this little caption was funny. It says, "Women don't fart. They do, however, shoot tiny puffs of glitter that sound like a unicorn's laughter and smell." So this, again, is what we have been programmed to think in terms of boys being one way, girls being one way, women being one way, and the male being one way. As we know, there are variations in between, and there is no right or wrong way to be. There is no moral or immoral way. And you're going to learn this throughout the quarter. My job is to dismantle some of these beliefs. Now we're going to watch a short video, short commercial, I should say.
Hi, Erin.
Hi.
Okay, so I'm going to just give you some actions to do and just do the first thing that comes to mind. Show me what it looks like to run like a girl.
Like hair.
Show me what it looks like to fight like a girl. Now throw like a girl.
Aw. My name is Dakota, and I'm 10 years old.
Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. Throw like a girl. Fight like a girl. What does it mean to you when I say run like a girl?
It means run fast as you can.
So do you think you just insulted your sister?
No. I mean, yeah, insulted girls, but not my sister.
Is like a girl a good thing?
Actually, I don't know what it really
if it's a bad thing or a good thing. It sounds like a bad thing. It sounds like you're trying to humiliate someone.
So when they're in that vulnerable time between 10 and 12, how do you think it affects them when somebody uses like a girl as an insult?
I think it definitely drops their self-confidence and really puts them down, because during that time they're already trying to figure themselves out. And when somebody says you hit like a girl, it's like, well, what does that mean? Because they think they're a strong person. It's kind of like telling them that they're weak and they're not as good as them.
And what advice do you have to young girls who are told they run like a girl, kick like a girl, hit like a girl, swim like a girl?
Keep doing it because it's working. If somebody else says that running like a girl or kicking like a girl or shooting like a girl is something that you shouldn't be doing, that's their problem. Because if you're still scoring and you're still getting to the ball on time and you're still being first, you're doing it right. Doesn't matter what they say. I mean, yes, I kick like a girl and I swim like a girl and I walk like a girl and I wake up in the morning like a girl because I am a girl. And that is not something that I should be ashamed of. So I'm going to do it anyway. That's what they should do.
If I asked you to run like a girl now, would you do it differently?
I would run like myself.
Would you like a chance to redo it?
Why can't run like a girl also mean win the race?
Beautiful illustration right there in the commercial form. What it means, how we are programmed to think, how we are designed to think. There is no running like a girl. I love that illustration. The next thing we're going to talk about, everybody should be taking notes. Gender stratification. This is one's unequal access to wealth, power, status, prestige, opportunity, and other valued resources because of their sex or gender. Now, when we talk about gender stratification, the person that this helps the most, the people that benefit the most from this are going to be men. Let's just be real. It should be called male stratification, because men oftentimes have unequal wealth, status, prestige, and opportunity because of their gender, being put into these CEO and manager positions. Unequal pay. Still to this day, men still make more than women for doing the same thing. This is not fair, right? It's an unequal balance of power. So these pictures illustrate how we're programmed early on. Now we have the gender reveal parties where if the balloon explodes and it's blue, it's what? The baby's going to end up being a boy. If the balloon explodes and it's pink, that baby's going to end up being a girl. This is something that society constructed in getting us to go into these categories, right? So some of the pictures illustrate, the top pictures illustrate young girls dancing, doing ballet. Young girls are designed and programmed to play with the Barbies, while boys are programmed to be a little bit more rough and tumble, to play soccer, the football, sports, play with Army dolls or soldiers or G.I. Joes. So again, this is something that we're acclimated to do from day one, since birth. Even Disney, right? Cartoons, media does it. Cartoons do it. TV shows where we have young girls that identify with the Cinderellas and the princesses, and the young men are supposed to be identified with Hercules and Tarzan, the rough and tumble type. So all of this imagery since birth, since our inception, we start to identify with different gender roles. Even it happens in education, kindergarten all the way on up. And this caption reads, at a young age, there are more gender similarities, right? Very young, talking about before third grade. But by third grade, boys typically excel in math and science because their teachers, their parents are programming boys to do well in these, where they say girls are exceptional in reading, writing, the verbal skills. Counselors even steer girls and boys to gender stereotype disciplines. And I'm here to tell y'all folks that you can do and go into whatever category you want. But since the 3rd grade, since we say boys typically excel in math and science, we start steering boys into the medical field, into engineering. We start steering girls into teaching, desk jobs, administrative positions. But I want everybody to know that this is not something that I believe in. And pretty much we've seen that you can do whatever you want. Advertising. How does it happen in advertising? I'm going to tell you. Now you take these 2 Esquire magazines. On the left-hand side being Bill Clinton, our former president. On the right-hand side being Halle Berry. Same magazine, dressed very different, where Bill Clinton is business oriented, very masculine. I mean, has the power stance, where Halle Berry is identified by her beauty, her sexuality. She's hypersexualized in order to sell this magazine. Very different genders, but the approach is very different. Look at this advertisement. The left-hand side reads, "This Mother's Day, get back to the job that really matters." And it shows a woman, a mother, teaching her daughter how to wipe down a window on Mother's Day. Get back to the job that really matters. I'm going to let y'all sit with that for a minute. Another commercial.
Get born, get slapped, and cry out loud. Learn to walk and talk. Make your parents proud. Be good at sports. Play hard. Run fast. Careful climbing the rope in gym class. Lift weights. Be strong. Know how to fight. Be safe and stay up all night. Be tough. Be cool. Be full of pride. Don't show your sensitive side. Go out with your friends, but be a gentleman too. Then find the perfect girl who'll say, "I do." Go check out a noise and never be scared. Don't waste your life on the couch in your underwear. Break the leaves, trim the hedge, and mow the yard. Honey, can you open this jar? Have a kid, it's time for a family. Before you know it, you'll have 3. Don't use a map, always know where you are. Change a flat tire while they wait in the car. You've reached a stage where you feel at ease. You've come this far, and it wasn't a breeze. You can take on anything, of course you can, because you're a man.
Now that you're comfortable with who you are, isn't it time for comfortable skin? At last, there's Dove for Men. Introducing Dove Men Plus Care, a new range of body and face wash. Be comfortable in your own skin.
So, I mean, if we have to do all these things just to be a man, just to be considered a man, show no pain, no fear, no emotion, it's exhausting, right? Where we're teaching, we're pretty much highlighting toxic masculinity is to not show emotion, not to show fear, not to show pain. It's unhealthy and it's unnatural. Okay, in sports, Title IX dictates that no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any educational program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Naming practices have to do with the feminine qualifier to differentiate women's teams from the standard male team. So if they say, a good example of that would be women's basketball, women's soccer, as opposed to just saying a basketball team or soccer team. So the assumption is if it doesn't have women in front of it, then it's going to be male, right? Gender making tag. When the qualifier is not used, the presumed gender is almost always male. Okay, this is unfortunate. This is male athletes are powerful, conquering, best in the world, fearless, incredible. This is how society describes male athletes versus women. Women are athletes that are talented, dedicated, best women in the world, emotional, and nice. Very different descriptions, right? For the best athletes in the world. This is Caster Semenya. Caster Semenya, which in a lot of people's eyes had masculine features, and she was a gold medalist running track for South Africa because of her features and because of how dominant she was in her races. She was under scrutiny. They ran a biological test on her to find out if she was really indeed a woman. She was scrutinized and put under a lot of undue stress because of this. And this is, again, how society has programmed us to think. If someone has masculine features, or if a woman is too muscular, too dominant in their sport, sometimes society dictates that we may not think that they fit into a certain category. It's an unfortunate thing that needs to change. Workplace discrimination, where jobs are segregated by sex. The gender pay gaps that I briefly spoke to earlier. Pregnancy discrimination. Sometimes maternal leave is hard to come by. When a woman is pregnant, they have to jump through all these hoops to get some time off to have their child. Maternal leave is something that's changing, but maternal leaves are difficult as well when a man is trying to get some time off to be a father. Sexual harassment in the workplace. More oftentimes, it's the woman that's sexually harassed than it is the man. These are facts. Sexual harassment is any unwanted sexual advance, request for sexual favors that makes a person uncomfortable and interferes with one's work. This is still happening. In politics, we've had very few women that have run for office. The top African-American woman, Shirley Chisholm. On the left, we have Sarah Palin. And on the right, we have Hillary Clinton. The goal is to start increasing these numbers of women going into politics. Sexual identity. Our awareness of ourselves as male or female and the ways that we express our sexual values, attitudes, feelings, and beliefs. And we refer to this term as sexual identity. You're going to hear this term a lot throughout the quarter. These are also other terms that we're going to be talking about extensively this quarter. Sexual orientation. Many of us are familiar with these terms. Homosexuality is being attracted to the same sex, right? Heterosexuality is being attracted to the opposite sex. Bisexual is being attracted to both sex. Pansexual, not limited in sexual choice, whether regardless of biological sex, gender, or gender identity. Pansexuals, they'll date anybody, right? Asexual. This is an individual that was born without sexual feeling or desires. However, asexuals experience attraction, but the attraction is not always connected to sex. Transgender. Transgender is identifying with opposite birth sex. So if somebody is born boy or male, they may identify dress-wise, play-wise as a female, right? Intersex. Intersexuality. These are persons or people that are born with sexual anatomy that doesn't fit the typical description of male or female. We're going to talk more about intersex. I have a video that I want you all to watch this quarter that goes into more detail on intersexuality. Okay, this is the Genderbread Person 2.0. The top caption reads, gender is one of those things everyone thinks they understand, but most people don't. Like Inception, gender isn't binary. It's not an either or. In many cases, it's both and. A bit of this, a dash of that. This tasty little guide is meant to be an appetizer for understanding. So we have the brain, right? This typically has to deal with how you identify. That happens in the brain. That happens in the mind. The attraction tends to happen in the heart, right? And then we have the anatomy or biological features that have to do with our anatomy. Most times how we are born, We'll talk a little bit about how anatomy can be changed through surgery. Right? So gender identity, non-gendered. This has multiple variations. Okay, when we talk about gender identity, woman, man, the two-spirit is what Native Americans refer to identify as both the male and the female. Gender queer or genderless. Okay. Gender expression, butch, femme, androgynous, gender neutral, hypermasculine, biological sex. Okay. Also, if you're able to take a picture of this barcode, you can read a lot more about the genderbread person. And I think it's just a cool graphic just to identify all these variations of gender expression. These are discussion questions that we will talk about this quarter, maybe in our chat, maybe in our discussion posts that I have online. There's a hookup culture. Said you wouldn't make her a wife, don't make her a mother. Catcalling. This is when it's typically men that do this. This is when a woman, very attractive woman in nature, you know, depending on that individual, is walking and they're aggressively being whistled at or yelled at or approached in a hypersexual way. I have a video on catcalling, but we are not going to watch that right now. But I will put that video in the post. Sexuality, sexual orientation, and expression happens in music, governing bodies. There's a slut walk video that I'm going to show you all. And all of these different forms of expression, whether old, modern / contemporary, these are all things that are on the forefront of how we identify sexually, our gender expression. So this is kind of a teaser. This is kind of that intro lesson to get everybody into thinking about sexual variation, so on and so forth. So that is all for gender and sexuality. I will be uploading questions on the discussion post, as well as there may be an assignment connected to each lecture. Again, I'm Professor Alexander, and thank you all for viewing lecture number 1. We will talk soon.